Hey everyone, so a few days ago, WIT'S END was reworked, right, at the beginning of this patch, and I've been tracking it every day since to see who can actually use it now and just how strong it really is. Like I said in my patch video, it's not really a starting item anymore since the damage part scales with levels and the heal is based on the damage part of it, so you kind of want to get it later. You can grab it second if you want to, but most of the time you're going to be grabbing it third or later, and that's really when it shines. To be fair, at that point, it looks to be a little bit on the strong side from like mid-game onwards. I've separated this video out into melee and range since they work a little bit differently. So the heal is 33% effective for range, but we're really buying it for the damage aspect, like especially when we're putting it on a champion with a rage blade as well. Late game, that's 240 damage every 2 autos, which is bonkers. It also only starts to heal under 50% health, which for a range champion, like when you're normally that low, you're dead pretty fast. Melee champions though, even at 50%, will have more health overall, so they can use it a bit more to duel and heal. They don't tend to buy rage blade, but they do want the stats and the healing. Let's start off with the best ones that can use it. So it's built a lot more. It does really well in every single game, starting with melee. Master Yi is probably the best overall champion with this item now. You know what I said about the AD and the range champions and why it's good on each, right? Well, Yi actually uses all of that together. He has the melee aspect, good healing if he needs it, more attack speed, which is great, and some magic resist. But he also has a rage blade, so he's using all of the on-hit damage to full effect as well. It's damage and healing and defense, which is why it's so good on him. Even more attack speed than you already have. It is an amazing way to get rage blade stacked faster. You're going to nuke people down a bit harder, get objectives, or even take a few more towers. The best idea is to go Blood Razor into rage blade and then WIT'S END, sort of replacing your Blade of the Ruined King and how you'd use that before, but it even works if you pick it up second. Irelia also seems to be one of the best bruisers using it now, which isn't really a surprise when she was good with the older version before. Attack speed for her means more use for passive, or you stack it faster as well. The on-hit damage actually can scale well with your passive on-hit damage and they work together. You might not really need to build armor on Irelia because of your W, but they now nerfed that, remember, to only reduce physical damage. Having some magic resist can help you survive and covers that kind of back up again. You might be a little less useful for hard diving into a team fight like with Asterix or something, but you're much better for split pushing, and normally Irelia would pick this up second or third item after Trinity Force. Jax also synergizes really well. More attack speed is never bad on him, and he sometimes even gets a rage blade anyway, right? Especially late game. In terms of more split push and stuff, this is definitely one of the best attack speed options you've got now, but it's hard to swap out anything else in the build, and that's sort of the issue. Spear of Sojin is busted. Asterix works really well with that and health stack, so if you've got a WIT'S END, you've got to not buy one of those, which sucks. If you get it third or later, WIT'S END can be insanely good on Jax. It looks like the best magic resist option you've got for sure, better than like a Visage or something, and it will help you shred towers faster and ramp up your passive thumps. Moving into our ranged ones, and for ranged champions, you can technically rush this item because you're buying it a bit more for the damage. KO is probably one of the best with the new WIT'S END. It's still much better on her, a third item after rage blade. The on-hit damage seriously starts to ramp up at that point, plus you stack up your passive quicker, which is where most of your damage is. The great thing as well is that you can stick this in an AP or an AD build, right? You have two very different styles with KO at the moment, so if you need some magic resist, this gives you that defense while still increasing your damage. I think that's kind of the big thing, right? This is the same magic resist as a Mount Mortius, so if you don't need the shield from that, this is 100% the way to go. Moving on to Nico, her attack speed build might not be as popular as before the nerfs, but especially in Korean Challenger, everybody is still playing it and abusing the new WIT'S END. They tend to grab it with a Blade of the Ruined King and a Rage Blade, but since a lot of her damage comes from a W third hit anyway, you can grab it second with Blade if you need the magic resist because of the attack speed. If you go straight into it, it means that you don't have to stack up your Rage Blade to start doing some good damage and you'll burst a little bit harder, but obviously like you're going to lose a bit of damage as you go into the fight. Basically, Nico's whole kit revolves around auto attacks, so having even more on-hit damage is amazing, and you're a little less fragile as well when you have some defense. Into our AD carries that are amazing with this, Varus to start with can't really grab it early, and the later you get it, the stronger it's going to work out to be. Having Blade of the Ruined King and Rage Blade before WIT'S END also means that you're going to have a ton of on-hit, but also a ton of healing from that on-hit. If you add in a Runant after that as well, it is kind of like attack speed overkill, but you're actually going to heal from all 3 bolts, since the Blade and the WIT'S END damage will apply on all of them. You're going to attack crazy fast in a team fight anyway if you get your passive off, which means you're going to have more on-hit damage with that. This one especially is damage focused, and it's not really about the heal. It pretty much turns you into a turret almost with your passive, and that is a ton of shred you're going to have, plus you're harder to kill. Komor is a bit different because he basically uses it like another Blade of the Ruined King. It's the same thing, same way it works, it just isn't the percentage damage and it's magic instead. Grab this third item and you're going to demolish people's single target if you go this way, but you will lack the Runen spread across the enemy team. It's really good though, it's way more damage and especially gives you another way to go instead of crit, which isn't that amazing, especially later. Sometimes you get like an Infinity Edge last or something because you didn't really have many other damage options, but now WIT'S END is more expensive and it has better stats on it. This is going to synergize better with everything, especially late. Now let's move on to some good champions that can use it well, but might be a bit more situational, so it kind of depends on the game. Let's say with range for a second, so Vayne can use this really well. She builds Rage Blade, would use the damage properly, and the magic resist is never going to be bad. But it's kind of like Jax, right? There's not really much need for it, and you'd have to not buy something else in her build, which actually is really good anyway. If you grab it third or later, it's really good with the extra damage, but I'm guessing most people would prefer like a GA for defense at that point instead of going for more damage. Against heavy magic teams though, like AP teams, it would work out really well. Keep you alive and shred people at the same time. Going back into our melees now, Xin Zhao seems really troll, but if you need magic resist, this is actually a really solid item on him. You'll do more damage over the course of the fight, not just up front with the burst with your Sheen. You'll heal for a ton as well. You heal from Wit's End, you attack more, you heal from your passive more as well because you're attacking faster. Your E also gives you attack speed to use it even more, and you're going to proc your Q knock up even faster. So it's actually not that bad of an item on Xin at all. It actually has some built-in synergy. Attack speed items are relatively good, and normally you would grab this third after Trinity Force. Udyr is pretty similar as well with the healing overkill, I guess, with his turtle form, but normally you go for AD since that's how you make your tiger form hurt so much. But the faster you attack, the faster you apply your tiger since it's every third hit, and when you activate it, you gain a burst of attack speed. You actually gain a lot of attack speed, and that will mean that you apply the on-hit from Wit's End even faster, which is more damage, but actually a ton of healing if you get low. Udyr is kind of notorious for like getting a bit low and then kiting around and hitting back up and not being able to kill him. And if you grab a Visage fourth, that makes it even better. It's kind of one where you have sick burst damage, but more damage over time as well. Now, Warwick can also use this for a bit more of a carry style build, grabbing Cinderhulk, Titanic, Hydra, and then Wit's End after that. Grabbing some attack speed is actually really good to dish out the deeps. It's now fourth most popular item on him, and it's really good stat-wise. This would really use the healing as well, especially with the Visage. Again, like even at half health, Warwick is notorious for refusing to die and healing back up afterwards. Now, Yasuo can use this as an answer to magic damage in lane, or actually later into the game as well. You can get it first item if you want to. It's got a decent win rate, but obviously you sacrifice your crit spike for it, which is not going to be that good. Otherwise, you can grab it later. You have the attack speed, you have some magic resist and some extra healing, which is really nice. So you can actually go Sterix for like the shield and also Wit's End for the magic resist and cover both bases. This one is a little bit early to tell, to be fair, just now, because it could be a bit of a bait or it could be really good, but either way, it's only when you need magic resist. Finally, in our good category, Shyvana has one of the best win rates with this item and has pretty good synergy with Blood Razor as well. It's actually really good. Now, to be honest, most people actually go AP Shiv nowadays, but it might change with this build because it's so strong. It's more of a glass cannon attack speed build that will nuke stuff down like Baron as well as champions. Attack speed on Shyvana does a ton of things. Not only does it increase your damage, but it means your Q is a lower cooldown, an extended duration on your W, and more damage from your E as well. So it's pretty good, has really good synergy. Let's look at a few decent ones. Now, these work on the champions, but you're not going to be building them very often. They're kind of like way more situational. Like Nocturne, right? Has pretty good synergy with your passive and your healing and everything and the AoE damage. Pretty good in terms of magic resist options as well, but it doesn't really slot that easily into a build. Normally, you want heavy AD and lethality to nuke people down, but sometimes people actually build a blade, and this is kind of a better version of that now. So if you feel like you want to go blade, go Wits instead. Olaf also gets more attack speed the lower health he is. He heals for a ton already, and now you attack faster, do more damage, and you heal for even more. It's very glass cannon as an option, but it's decent synergy, and it could work well with Visage as well, but it's not the easiest to slot into a Trinity Sterix build, which is what most people are going now. It is also actually really good on Shen. It helps you fight more, split push. The damage is really nice, but also the healing. It moves you away from just a tank and more into damage and a split push, a threat, I guess. It works decently well with Titanic Hydra too, since you splash more damage out the more you attack. It's quite good on Tryndamere as well, when you spend most of your time in fights below half health anyway, and you're almost always going to be healing with it. It might be a good item, but again, the problem is it's not very easy to slot into a build at the moment. It's much better as a late game option, but it's one of the highest win rates if you can pick it up as something last and you need a bit of magic resist. Nar can also slot a Blade the Ring King into this build sometimes, but Wit's End just does a better job now after the changes, and we're seeing this quite a lot where some champions would get Blade for attack speed. You kind of just want to get Wit's End, especially considering Blade would heal you, but now Wit's End is going to heal you for a ton when you're below half health as well. You have more attack speed as well to proc your 3-hit damage, which is a lot of your damage. Some magic resist, some good on hit. You can even benefit from the full healing when you're transformed, but it's more of a split push option and a damage one. Finally, let's look at some decent range champions. Again, not going to build it all the time, but actually a pretty good option. Starting off with Temu, who uses it a lot right now actually. It's the 4th most popular item on him, but it just doesn't seem to be doing that great. If you go for more of attack speed rather than AP build, it is still pretty strong, but it doesn't work amazing in an AP build, so you kind of need to go for like your Frozen Mallet, your Rage Blade kind of build, and it slots in really well with that. Moving on to some AD carries, it is awful on Kalista until 3 items. You need your blade, your runins, but then after that you have more attack speed, which is amazing for stacking and damage on all 3 bolts, and you're going to do a lot of damage with that Wit's End. This is one AD where you might get lower and actually use the healing a bit more because you go low but you get some life steal and you like heal back up again. Just don't get it before 3rd item because it's absolutely awful. You can also build a Rage Blade with Kalista, which would make that even better, but Kai'Sa is one who builds a Rage Blade every single game, so she gets a lot of extra damage pumping out of it. The only issue is going to be a little bit attack speed overkill getting crit afterwards as well if you get like a runes or something. It also means you get your Infinity Edge really late in this build, but it helps you stack up your Rage Blade faster. It will keep you alive a little bit more, and it's one of the highest win rate items on her if you get it later and you need some magic resist. It's kind of similar for Ashe as well, actually. It's the highest win rate item on her for now, but it isn't used a ton. It's really situational, and it seems like you pick it up if you're ahead. With all of these others, I've kind of explained some synergy, but there really isn't any synergy with Ashe at all, apart from your Q attack speed can help, I guess. It can apply on runins as well, which is for even more damage, so that must be why it works. Finally then, Kindred can also use this as a more late game item when they need magic resist, but it is awful early game and you don't want to delay the rest of your build for it. It's kind of tough because you are building crit normally, and Wit's End is going to delay the crit power spike if you buy earlier, which is why it can not work on a lot of different AD carries who are building crit. That's going to be all the ones that I found going through all of the stats. If you think I missed any, definitely let me know down below, because chances are there is one that is probably quite good that just isn't showing up yet. I'm going to be spamming some Varus with this, I think, on stream right now. If you fancy seeing it, the link is down below. But thank you for watching, and for now, I will leave you with the robot.